All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the instruction informative session. This is part 2 of the formative sessions that we're offering to your district during your professional development week. If you wouldn't mind, if you just joined us, if you could please log into Formative with your teacher account. So you can see in my incognito window is open. Just click sign up and then make sure you select I'm a teacher and then use your teacher credential logins. I think your district uses Clever, so you might want to log in that way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this one because we don't need it. All right, so I'm going to be taking you through an interactive formative today to show you just the different content and question types. And the whole point of today's session is to have you really think about how can you use formative in your classroom. I mean, there's a variety of technology tools that are out there, and they all have their merits. There's some that are absolutely amazing. You may not want to give it up. But there are also ways to embed those within the formative platform itself. So you might be able to mesh the best of both worlds into formative itself. All right, so you've already logged into your formative teacher account. I need you to do that first. And then if you wouldn't mind joining this formative as a guest student. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat box. So you can just click on that link, and then the code is 47WT4G. Now, once you log in as a student, I'm going to get the session started. Then the sign-in form will be there for Salinas, because I know you need to sign into your sessions and fill out the feedback form at the end. So the answer, Jose, is you can if you'd like. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today because I have a little bit more time here. All right. So, the formative is just formative dot, I think it's just formative.com.
Someone Clever, you said originally to go through Clever. So I was wondering if it was under Renaissance or is it under Naviance? I don't know. Where do I find it under? Do I just search it?
Actually, that Sonia is a question that someone from your district will need to answer, because my district uses ClassLink, so I'm not sure what it looks like on the Clever side. Or you can just go through right here. If you just, I don't want to mess up my screen here. If you actually just go to formative.com, right, it'll give you the option to log in with your Clever credentials. So hopefully it works that way for you.
I'm trying it. I'm gonna sign up.
If you click sign up and then you click I'm a teacher, it should give you the option from, I was clicking around today. So if you're brand new, and then down here is Clever. If you can see my screen.
I'm doing that right now.
Can you say the code we need to log into your formative again, please?
Right, it's 47WT4G, and I'll put that in the chat box as well. It's interactive, which is why I would love for you to join my
7W.
I created the account. Let me go on the link.
Or 7WT4G. Or 7WT4G.
Okay, so I can see that a bunch of you are joining my formative, which is awesome. So you're joining as a guest student. And I realize that after today's session is over, I'll leave it open so that you have access to it. But I'm also going to share the link with my contact at your district so that if you want a copy of this, your district person, I believe her name is Jen, we'll be able to give that to you so that you can, use all the hyperlinks that I have embedded in here. So today's session is, like I said, part 2 of the introduction to formative. I'm going to spend more time on the different kinds of content types that you can upload, and then also the different question types that you can use. And my personal goal for you today is to leave with a formative that may not be a polished product, but at least it's something that you can potentially use with your students by adding maybe a few more questions here or there. Now, I do have you in a teacher paced mode. Formative, you can use teacher or student paced. They both have their time and place, but I'm going to use teacher pace for now. And then when we have work time, I will release it to student pace, and then you can go back or forward as you need to. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start the teacher pace mode now. This is what your students would see. So if you're projecting it onto the big screen, this is what they're going to see. Oh, I just remembered I forgot to show someone last time how to make this text bigger. So right now you can see this is really small on my screen, which is projected onto your screen. You can make it a little bit larger, and I'll show you how to personalize that. And if for some reason I forget while I'm going through the content types, please just remind me, because there's so many things I'm trying to remember to do during these sessions. All right. So in the teacher pace mode, I do want to point out that there is a navigation bar that you can use to toggle through the questions itself. I personally like to keep in the bottom right-hand corner so that it doesn't obscure the screen itself. So just a little bit about me for those of you that I haven't met before, because I have been working with your teachers. Hi, my name is Catherine. I was a middle school world history teacher for 27 years. I've been using technology since about 2008. So I have experience with MacBooks, iPads, and Chromebooks. I also work as a researcher doing a lot of stuff with program evaluations around the idea of meaningfully integrating technology for student learning. So this is definitely in my wheelhouse. I'm really glad to be here with you today to show you how you can use Formative as an instructional tool with your students. So these are the learning outcomes for today. And I know that, at the end of the day, you have to do report card grades. They have to go out to students, the GPA, all that. I know that that's a reality. And that was something that, was sometimes frustrating when you wanted students to move away, from grades and wanted them to concentrate on the learning journey. But just for today, just think about the process itself a little bit more so than the end goal, because if you use it Formative as an instructional tool, you can actually monitor the students' learning journey. So by the time they get to the end, hopefully it's a favorable outcome for everyone. All right. So what I have here is, and these are different kinds of question types. So I'm having you experience it from the student perspective. I think it's really important to do that because as teachers, it's easy to just, put things together. But I also think it's important to know, well, what do the students see? So this is a multiple response question. So you can click or check as many boxes as what applies to you. So I'm just curious as to what are the things that you know how to do right now? So this is all within the Formative platform. So do you know how to personalize your account? Do you know how to add accommodations? This is just giving me an idea of, if I can skip an area, or if I need to spend more time in certain areas. So if you wouldn't mind just taking the opportunity to just check those boxes so I have an idea of what you do know. Some of you are asking about the sign-in sheet. It is in here. It's embedded within this Formative.
Can we just click the link in there? How do we access the link from the Formative? We go back.
It's on teacher pace, so you're only going to be able to see, as I go through the questions. So, and I'll also put in the chat box once I get to it. For some reason, the link's not working for you. Okay.
Oh,
So I just want. Go ahead.
sensitive, but it's okay. I was just gonna say it's I'm not sure if you're able to, if you do have access to it, to just put it in the chat, and we could do that right now.
I will. It's a few more questions. I want to get just a couple of housekeeping things done.
Okay.
So thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So in the upper right-hand corner, you can see the number 9 with a bar chart. For those of you who didn't see this yet, this actually shows me the responses that are coming in. So this is a cool tool for you as a teacher. So you can quickly monitor, get a bird's eye view of how your students are doing or what they actually know. And because this is a multiple response, there's it could be all or nothing. If you don't know how to do anything on that list, just don't check anything. It's not a required question, so it's totally fine. I do want to point out that this frequency option here, this is kind of cool because then I can see how many of you are selecting these options. I can see quite a few of you do know how to personalize your settings. And then the next big one is creating a formative, adding question types, and then assigning a formative. So that's good. Okay. And Formative has been making changes. So if you've been a Formative user for a few years, you'll see some new things that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and click out of this one. And then just curious if you attended the Formative Fundamentals. It's actually now changed to Y Formative. That's what they're calling it, either yesterday or earlier today. So just curious as to the participation. Oh, so, ooh, was there a lot of no's on there? Okay. Oh, awesome. Okay, so if I forget something, for those of you that were with me earlier today, if you'd like me to go on a little bit more in depth, please let me know. Okay, I'm really responsive. I want to be really responsive to your questions while I'm here, so I don't want to forget anything. So please make sure you put your question in the chat box or unmute yourself while I'm going through this. Okay, so here is what you're all looking for: the sign-in Google form. So on your end, anything that's blue is hyperlinked, and you can use this with your students as well. When you make questions, you can actually hyperlink it to outside sources. So if you click on the blue sign in Google form, it should open up the Google form for you. And if it doesn't, let me know, and then I will put it in the chat box. But this is actually an important thing. I think it's a cool feature because you can easily link things into the content or question types that you're putting for you're giving to your students. So I'm trying to show you just the different ways that you can use Formative by trying out the tools with you. So this is a sign-in sheet. I'll stop talking for like a minute and let y'all fill that out, because I know that's really important. Now, the drawback of using teacher-paced mode, because I said there's a time and place for everything, is when I move on to the next question, then you actually lose access to the question that you're currently working on. But hopefully everyone's either opened up the sign-in sheet or the sign-in Google form from my Formative or from the one in the chat box. And if you need it again, please let me know, because I know it's really important that you all get credit for being here. All right, so the point of today is to look at Formative as an instructional tool and really think about, well, what's the desired effect that we want for our students, like when they're doing the whole learning journey thing. And I was in the classroom for a long time. Some lessons were amazing. Other lessons I had to go back the next day and I basically reteach it. So, just thinking about how you can use Formative in its feedback, like the immediate feedback tools, or the immediate knowledge of what students know, that can actually inform your instruction in real time. Instead of letting students, go down that wrong pathway, you can actually help them pivot and get them back onto the path that you want them to be on. Now, I do have a question for you. It is, how do your students know that they have achieved a particular learning goal? So when you think about, last year or whatever, how do your students know that they've actually mastered a goal that you've set for them or that they've set for themselves? So this is an open response question. Notice I have 4 people that have started to type. So this is actually a cool tool, because if you use it with your students and you have 30 kids and you can say, hey, I can see the majority of you haven't started yet. So it's a good way to keep students on task. You don't have to necessarily answer it in here if you don't want. I just thought it'd be a good way for you to see how the free response tool works. And then while you're working on that, I'm going to go back to this Formative, but this is the draft version of it. It's not the teacher-paced one that I'm taking you through. This is the one where I can edit it. The one thing about Formative that I really like is you can make changes in real time. So if you're going through a lesson and then you realize, oh my gosh, I really wanted to add, a question here, I want to help my students with an additional scaffold or something, you can make the change and it'll appear real time for your students. So if you're looking on my Zoom screen instead of the teacher-paced version that you are working on, this is the question that I'm having you answer right now, which is, how do your students know what they have achieved during how do students know that they have achieved a particular learning goal? Sorry, I reworded that question several times because a couple times it felt weird. Now notice that I could actually display the word count. So if you're encouraging your students to write more, you can actually toggle that on, and then they can see, are they hitting that 50-word mark? Or for the students that have a big vocabulary and they like to keep writing, maybe they know that, okay, that's going to be limited here. I do want to show you the rubric option, which is why I wanted to come back to this version here. So if I toggle on use a rubric, you can actually use a rubric to provide feedback. So instead of typing it up, you can select the choices from within a rubric here. Now, if I wanted to create a rubric though, let me remove this one. So like I wanted to create a rubric, if I clicked on it. So this rubric here, I can say, like constructed response version 2. So the criterion title, I can, it could be something like depth. And then I can add in the different categories, right? So like no detail. Nice Wi-Fi slow. Some detail. Of course, these are gonna, hopefully your descriptors will be a lot better than mine. A lot of detail, a lot of detail. And then if I click the check mark here, then that rubric is associated with this particular question here. So when you go to grade it, you can actually use the rubric to grade the answers. So let me go ahead and delete this one more time, because I actually want to use a pre-existing rubric. So I'm going to show you what it looks like and how easy it is, so that as you're teaching your students and you want to make sure that you're holding them accountable and that they know that they're going to be held accountable, to a certain extent, you can use the rubric tool. So I'm going to use this one that I've already pre-created. So this is on the teacher end itself. Now, if I were to go under responses, and I'm going to hide names because there's no need to have names out there. I think it's question 3 I put on there. Yeah, how do your students know that they've achieved a particular learning goal? So I can see that some people haven't answered the question, other people have. So maybe I could put something like, I check this one here. Here's my rubric, the same one that I just attached. And notice if I hover over it, it's bringing up the descriptors. So it's either insufficient, partially sufficient, sufficient, or exemplary. So I can just click that. I can say something like, awesome job, and then send that feedback directly to the student itself. So when you create a rubric ahead of time, you only have to create it once, and then you can just bring that into multiple questions, multiple formatives, and that way your students know what they're going to be held accountable to as well, because they'll be able to view the rubric on their own. Now, you can actually do what I call batch grading. So if, for example, I have several, maybe not in here. I can put something like, love this. Can you add a bit more detail? So I don't even have to use a rubric. I can just send this message. And if you're in my previous session, I was calling it a back channel to these students. And so it's the same 3 students that received that particular feedback. So it's not like you have to individually provide feedback to students one at a time. If you see the same students or a group of students that could use the same type of feedback, you could actually just, check that box. Notice I went under responses. So I'm seeing all the student responses here. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and go back to the teacher pace version. And then I can see that 14 people have submitted responses here. I already went through and showed you the feedback version, so I don't feel like I have to go through or show you that on the side. Okay, so this is something that I had in the last session before, this Venn diagram about how Formative is an instructional platform. So it's definitely more than assessments. I'm just curious as to what is a learning task that Formative can help you with. So thinking about something that you want your students to be able to do, what do you think Formative can help you know? How can Formative help you? Just put it out there, and then hopefully I'll be able to address it at some point during the session. When you're doing a free response, it's just once you're typing, I'll see it live. So it's not like you have to submit that particular response. Great question, Stephen. Formative, it's a little bit different than Nearpod. Nearpod, you can see the screens, right? And you can provide student feedback, but Formative, to me, has more bells and whistles than Nearpod does. So, but it is similar, where you can see all the student responses as they come in live, and you can provide feedback to them. What you won't see are the student screens itself. You'll only see their answers to the formative questions. So. All right, now I can see in the formative here, this is the teacher pace version that I was hoping that most of you would join. So if I clicked on it, I can see here assessing and learning activities. Ooh, keeping track of exit tickets and warm-ups. Yes, formative can definitely help you with that. Yep, quick tests, obviously, that's gonna work. That's gonna work really well. The live responses, yeah, provide immediate feedback. And you can create an entire assignment. Actually, I'm going to give you some options on how to use it for the entire lesson for the week, like, you know, like a whole week long one. So, because my goal is that you're leaving today with something. And if you're like, I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm brand new, I just signed up for this session, don't even worry about it. Hopefully I can still help you with something that you're wanting to use with your students. Okay. All right, so once again, because this is in teacher pace mode, once I move off of this question, you're not going to be able to type anymore. So that's something you want to think about if you're going to use the teacher pace mode with your students, because we know some kids type really slow. So you'll want to determine, you know, is it the best option, or you just need to give more think time, or what? Yes, I will talk a little bit about how to use formatives to keep track of forms. Definitely, I will show you how to do that as well. Okay. All right, so let me move on to just a couple other things. I am using the teacher paced mode, and so this formative will be available for you. You'll just have to make a copy of it, because I want you to have all the links that are in here. So I'm not going to play this video because I'm actually demonstrating the teacher paced mode to you, but this is a good one to take a look at later. This explains what the teacher paced mode is, which I'm showing you right now. And then the teacher pace settings, and that's actually in the video. So you can take a look at that later if you like. Once I make the student pace, you can always go back and watch that as well. Okay, so when you're thinking about the formative platform itself, there's two main functions to it. There's the content types and the question types. The content types is what I like to call the meat. So it's the what do you want students to learn? So is it a poem? Is it a primary source document? Is it a formula? What is it? Okay, is it a video? And then the question types are, how are students going to interact with that, you know, particular content? How are they going to engage with it? So the content types, there's multiple ways to bring in content. So you can bring in an audio file. So for example, if you're a world language teacher and you want to say, it's like you do it for Spanish, you can actually maybe say a whole Spanish phrase and then have students record their answer, you know, using audio, you know, in Spanish as well. So you can use audio, they can use audio. You can also embed websites. I'm going to show you all this. You don't have to worry. You can bring in images where students can interact with it. Text is real easy. You're literally just typing in your answer, typing in the bulk of whatever it is you want students to read. The video function works similar, where you, like audio, where you can record a video, you can upload a video, you can even record your screen. So if you have a whiteboard, you know, tool on your computer and you want to demonstrate as you're talking, you can do that as well and then upload it to Formative. So it becomes very interactive with students. The whiteboard feature, it's kind of hard when you're using a trackpad or a mouse, but the whiteboard feature, you can actually like draw on it. But the thing that I always caution people with when they're using the whiteboard is that's not interactive for students. So you can draw on it and then you can, you know, it'll come up like as a static image, but students won't be able to interact with it itself. That would come under the show your work function. Okay. All right, so give me a second and let me go through the different kinds of content types. So I'm going to go back to the formative dashboard. So hopefully you all logged in with your teacher account. It says welcome and then your name on there. Now, when you go to create a formative, it's real easy. The plus button in the upper right-hand corner where it says add, when you click on that, there's a bunch of things that you can add. You can create a new formative, the auto-generate formative, which I'll talk about in a little bit. You can enhance a PDF or doc. So there's a bunch of different things that you can bring in. So I'm just going to create just a brand new formative. And then today's the 20th. So it's just, I just put in a very generic title. Notice that it auto-saved. And it also changed the title up here. So Formative is trying to make it easier for you so that you don't have to worry about saving stuff. Now you can go ahead and add instructions here to students. You can say something like, answer the questions below. And then if you highlight a word whenever you're typing something, you have to highlight it and then let go of the mouse. Then you can actually change the color. You can make it purple. I can make it really large. That way it shows up larger on the student end. Okay, you can also make it bold if you'd like, especially for those students where you can say it, read it, show it, and then they still don't follow directions. Okay, so if you want to add in questions, all you have to do is just click that plus button. Here are the different kinds of content types available. So if I wanted to add in an audio, notice it just says record audio here. And then once I click it, it's just going to start recording whatever it is that I'm saying. And then once I'm done, I can just stop the recording. I can listen to it, which I don't want to because it's literally just me explaining it. And then I can add the audio right there. Okay, that's the content, that's the meat. Now, if you wanted students to interact with that, say like you are a world language teacher and you want them to recite or repeat what you just said, or maybe you want them to respond to your question, you just click the plus button. And then this is how are they going to interact with your audio file? Are they going to provide an audio response back to you? Are they going to type out their answer to you? So you're providing the meat, right? The audio recording, and then how are they going to engage with it? Now, another content type is the embed tool. And this one I really love. So when you use this tool here, you're actually bringing in an outside resource that, that you can use to enhance your learning. So for example, I'll go to Wakelet. So those of you that use Wakelet or Padlet, these are online virtual bulletin boards. Just going to select my 9/11 Wakelet collection. Remember, I taught you world history, so definitely had to teach this particular one. So when you go to embed something, you actually need the code. And I don't know code, so I'm glad that there's other things out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click share. And I'm grabbing the link to this particular collection. And then what you want to do is you want to go to iframe generator, which is an outside source. So it's not part of the Formative platform. It's free for everyone. And then all I do is I paste that link in there. I click generate, and then it gives me the code to that Wakelet collection. So if I copy it and I go back here, I'm just going to paste it. And then there's my Wakelet. It's a little slow, but there's my Wakelet collection. And then that's the meat, right? That's the content. And then I can add in as many questions as I want. Multiple choice questions, free response questions. They can do an audio response. I can say, what are your first thoughts after reading through and looking at the different artifacts from 9/11? And then they can, practice their speaking literacy skills by responding back to what they see there. All right, so that I showed you how to add audio and I showed you how to embed. For those of you that use Quizlet, you can actually embed Quizlet flashcards within Formative as well. So that's actually another kind of cool feature. Yes, it's similar to, being able to embed things and make it interactive to me is the key thing for Formative. Now, the image one, you can just bring in images. So let me just show you. I'm just going to upload a picture from my my desktop. And I will use this one here. Still sticking within my wheelhouse of world history. So this is a shrine in Japan. So I can bring in an image here, and then I can add in the questions. So what students they're interacting with the content itself. Okay. All right, let me show you the slides, because we all have our Google Slides, right? Or they used to be PowerPoint, now they're most likely Google Slides or maybe Canvas slides. But you can actually bring those in and have students interact with those slides. So this can truly be an instructional platform. You can, on Monday, maybe you have like a activate prior knowledge question, and then come Wednesday, you've uploaded some slides that you have, and you have students answer multiple choice questions. Maybe they provide a video response, something like that. So let me go ahead and I'll do the facing history one. So for those of you that are familiar with the Formative platform, it used to be when you uploaded slides, it uploaded every single slide in your slide deck. But what Formative has done now is they've given you the option to just select certain slides that you want to upload, which is great because we don't always need to have every single slide. So I'm just going to select just one. Notice it's bringing it in as an image. Okay. And then on the right-hand side, I can add in a question type. So how are they going to engage with this particular prompt that I have here? So you can see that it's pretty cool that the different things that you can bring in. Text is easy, right? You're just typing it out. Now, say like you had a big like poem or a passage that you have in a Microsoft Word document or something like that. You can literally copy that and paste it into a text box, and then you can add the question types so that students are interacting with it. Okay. All right. Now I do want to do this here because I have one of your colleagues that was asking a question about, can students answer questions or something that's already, can students answer questions that are already part of a PDF? So let me go ahead and upload a document. And I'll go to my, it gets here. So if you have a Microsoft Word document and you want to upload it, it will still upload, but it'll upload as a PDF. So it'll end up being a static one. Wow, that's a lot of questions. Okay, I'm going to select just, it's the first time I'm seeing this one. So let me just select this one here. Hopefully there's questions on there. Okay, so this is a PDF that already has questions on there. So you can actually upload that. And then if you want students to answer the questions, this is a really cool trick. If you click on it, you can just make it multiple choice. And then right here, you can say question 1. And then the answers are A, B, C, or D. Maybe the correct answer is C. Move on. This is question 2. Multiple choice. I could put question 2 right here. Answers A, B, C, D. Maybe the correct answer is A. So if you're one of those and you have a PDF that has the questions already embedded in it, whether you're a science teacher, math teacher, whatever, you can just bring those in, literally just click on the document, and then it will allow you to choose what type of question do you want to add. I mean, I could have added multiple response. I could have added a short answer if I wanted to, but these look like they're all multiple choice, which is why I did multiple choice options A, B, C, or D. So it's a pretty easy way to bring in something that you've already done without having to recreate everything from scratch. Okay, couple things. You do want to make sure that, you do click on required if you want students to have to answer those questions. I also, actually, let me do 2 more things before I talk about the AI hints. I wanted to show you the video because I know that I probably have some Edpuzzle fans in the room. I'm a huge fan of Edpuzzle. So having videos and being able to have students answer questions to me is awesome because not all students learn best by just reading, right? You want to offer a variety of ways for students to access information. Notice I could record my own video if I wanted to. I could upload a video. I could record my screen. I'm just going to go the easy route because why reinvent the wheel? I'm going to upload a video that I've used with my students before when we've talked about SEL. No code involved. You just click video. You can do a quick search in YouTube with some keywords and it brings a video in. Now, here's where the magic happens. So this is a 4-minute video. You probably want to toggle on prevent skipping if you want students to watch the whole video, but now you can add questions to the video. So what you'll want to do is just play it. Let me start it real quick. Okay, so I'm going to add this item at 1 minute and 8 seconds. So if I click on that, now it's giving me the option, you know, what kind of question do I want to ask? So I can just do a short answer. And I can say something like, what do you think Pip is feeling right now? And then I can even use a rubric if I wanted to measure students' writing ability, making sure they're, you know, adding in evidence to support their claim or their main idea. I could tag it to standards if I already have those set up in my classes. So being able to embed websites, bring in videos, add timestamps, using something like, let me delete this one. Bringing in a PDF that's already been created that has questions on there and just being able to tag it. Wow, I brought in a lot of those. Did I bring in all those? Oh, no, I didn't. I thought I brought in like all the PDF. That would have been a long one. So you can bring in a PDF, like literally click on it, and then you can add questions to it. You can bring in a slide or as many slides as you want, bring in an image. So these are all content types. It's the meat, you know, how are students or what are students going to be interacting with? Okay. All right. So I do want to stop for a moment and I want to give you an opportunity to start creating a formative before I talk a little bit more about the different question types. So let me go back here to the home page for those of you that, where if I talk too fast, if you click the plus button for add, then you can actually create your own formative. For those of you that are formative, you know, veterans, you're already familiar with it, I would try the auto generative formative. So if you've clicked on the AI beta tool under your settings, you could actually have formative, because they partner with ChatGPT, create a quiz for you or create a whole lesson for you. So if I wanted to do a quiz and I wanted to do it on feudal Europe for grade 7, because that's what I taught, additional settings, I don't care right now, generate formative, it's going to work through it and it's actually creating it for me. I tried it earlier today. I thought it was pretty amazing. So let me stop talking for about 5 minutes and let you sort of click around the content types, maybe looking at what could you, what do you want to bring into the formative platform? If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute or put the question in the chat box. And then once the 5 minutes are up, I'll show you about keeping track of warm-ups and making exit tickets and things like that.
Sorry, I have another question.
Of course.
As a math or a physics teacher, we do need our students to show their work. Can the student use a stylus, let's say in a problem solving? Like, yeah, we always do problem solving and they have stylus on their for their Chromebooks.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way that they can show their work?
Yes. Let me go here. That's the one I didn't show you. So thank you for pointing that out. Was that is it Elmira? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what you can do here, and I'm just going to go to your example, Elmira, because you're the one that provided the PDF. So I have the PDF on here. I'm going to totally make it up right now. If I were to click on the plus button here, the show your work is when you want students to write it out, whether you want them to write out their thinking for solving a math problem or write out their thinking for, a particular procedure in science. I don't really know science, so that's just totally made that one up. But the show your work feature here, this is where you would tell students to, explain, draw your thinking. And then when they get this question, it's going to open up like this on their end. So when they click on it, they'll have this whole big whiteboard to work with. I shouldn't say whiteboard because the whiteboard option is separate for teachers, but they can choose, the style, the color, the width of the different styluses. They could bring in pictures, they could type, they could use formulas, they can use rulers. So they can definitely show their work in physics and
And
math.
graph also? No.
Yes, no. If you wanted to, I don't have a graph as an image, but you can upload a graph here.
Okay.
And then tell students, do the slope of whatever.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So when they have to draw or explain, that's gonna show up as a background, the graph on here.
As long as
how are they?
As long as you upload it. So you would have
Okay.
to go here to the image like this, like 'cause I'm actually creating a question right now. So if I had a graph, which let me see if I can do a graph.
So, but this is gonna populate on every student because you're gonna include it as you show your response in here.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So this is a graph I just pulled in. I know it's not going to be the best one, but you can also resize it. And then you can even leave directions on here too. You can type it in and just say,
Mhm.
please, do whatever it is you want them to do. And then students can draw right on it. Yeah, this is like one of those underutilized tools that I always like to share with colleagues. And if I click that check button, notice how it says edit background here. And so when
Mhm.
students get that question, in fact, someone just asked, what does it look like from the student end? If you click preview and it will be available for any formative that you create, you can, and this is actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to make sure I addressed that. So with the student preview, you can preview what does it look like on a phone, a tablet, or a desktop computer, which I think is cool. I prefer to just have it preview in its own tab so I can see it nice and large. Oh, my Wi-Fi is really slow. Let me close some of my tabs. But the student preview feature is really good because I know as a teacher, I always wanted to know what did it look like from a student's perspective. And when you're in the classroom, it's easy because you can just look over their shoulder. But if you're doing it ahead of time, and you want to see, well, what does it look like? Okay, so this is the student perspective. This is the audio. This is the image I pulled in. This is the slide that I pulled in. This is the PDF that was provided by one of your colleagues. Okay. Oh, this is what I want to point out. Notice when I'm hovering over these answers, there's now the letter S with the line through it. This is a new feature, and it's actually great for students because they can actually cross out answers that they know are wrong. So they can just cross out this. Oh, I know it's not the, oops. They can just click on that. Click on the
Can they make
S.
corrections? Let's say we go over something and they find out or realize, so that one was wrong, and now I can select the correct answer.
As long as you allow students to make edits, and you have to set that up in the formative itself. So
Okay,
before you go
under
to it,
settings.
yes. Well, actually, yeah, when you go to assign it to students, you
Mhm.
you actually have to say allow edits.
Okay, and then that will allow them to make corrections and then maybe make notes, like annotate, like, oh, this was the correct answer and I got this wrong because of
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Mhm.
And notice down here, there's a little speaker bubble. Students can actually leave you like an SOS, like help. I don't know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And then once they click that, you'll get a notification on your end. And then this is what I like to call the back channel, where the teacher and the student can now talk about, well, what is the question that the student, especially for those shy kids or their English language learners, this is great. Or the special ed kids, they can ask these private questions. No one knows, that they have the
Mhm.
question, and then you can provide. And notice, I want to point this out. If you click the plus button, your
Mhm.
feedback can be audio, embed, emoji. I mean, you have a variety of ways of providing feedback to students. I think it's an awesome tool for formative. All right. Okay, so my timer went off. So let me talk about sorry, were there any other questions before I address the exit ticket one?
Yeah, sorry.
No,
I haven't.
don't be sorry.
One, can we randomize questions? And number two, what about if we don't want them to navigate questions, like going back and forth on those questions, because it's easier to cheat, right? When they can see all the questions.
Right. Okay. So notice you can randomize the order of the answers for each question. So you can choose that. When you go to assign a formative and you do it student paced, right? So students can now go as fast or slow as they like. I'm just going to choose my demo class. This is letting me know that I have accommodations set up for students. Under additional settings, and this goes with the other question that came up, I can display each item as a separate page. I can restrict it to individual students, schedule open and close time. I can have a time limit, return scores, don't show scores. So there's a variety of things that you can choose for each individual formative. hopefully that answered your question. You can display questions in a random order if that's what, I think that's what you're asking, Elmira.
Yeah, thanks. But the no navigation.
But
Can
I
we-
think, yeah, I think this is great, Elmira, because I think the idea of formative is to kind of have students be able to track so that they're ready for the actual assessment. So it's good that they could see and go back and see the answers and then make corrections. That's why I was asking, is there a way where they can go and annotate and jot down that they, you know, what they got wrong, why they got it wrong? Because this is like they're learning.
Yeah, but the
Um,
problem is once it's a test at the end of the quarter, or it's a finals with, and students can see Chromebooks of other students. They can
Right,
easily go back and change their answers.
Right, I
So,
wouldn't use this
no.
as a,
Yeah.
I would not use this as a final test or assessment. This is more like for them to be learning.
No, because our final test, we only have this much time, right, for the test. So, and normally for my finals, I just give like 50 or 50 questions of multiple choice that are randomized. But I
And you
don't want
use
the
this
students
as
doing
a
that.
final? You use this for the final?
Yeah,
the
50
use formative?
questions. No, I use Synergy, but this is the first time that I'm using Formative. That's why I'm asking if that is.
Oh, I get it. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is there's just concern about, our students, going to be able to cheat. You can display the questions in a random order and the answers in a random order. If you do not allow edits, once a student clicks an answer, they won't be able to change it.
Oh, that's the
So,
one that I want. That's the one that I want. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. All right, so we're getting close to the end of our time together. Let me talk about the whole exit ticket and how that can work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use, let me create a new one because it's so easy. So if I click this plus button here and I click a new formative, I'll just call it exit ticket week 1. And then all I have to do, I don't even have to do a content type. I can just do question types if I want. So I can just do short answer. And I can say Monday, exit ticket. Oops, if I could spell. And then I can do the same thing. Do short answer. Oops. Tuesday, exit ticket. And I can keep it all in the same one. And if I keep it teacher paced, then the students can only do the exit ticket on the day that I have displayed, because you can run as many formatives as you want with as many classes as you want. I mean, just it depends on how organized you can keep everything in your head, because it might get kind of messy. But this is a real easy way to keep track of exit tickets, the students' answers, and you can just keep adding it. I mean, there's no limit to the questions that you can have in one formative. And you could have one formative called exit ticket for the whole year if you want, or how about quarter 1? And just keep it all in the same one. And then you can go back and review students' learning. When students log into formative, they'll actually have reports on their end, and then they can also see how well they're doing over time with the exit tickets, because when they click on reports, they can click on exit ticket quarter 1, and then they can look at everything that they've actually put in there. So hopefully I answered that question that came from Jose. And if not, Jose, please clarify, because I want to make sure that I do answer all those questions for you, or for everyone. So.
Just real quick, you mentioned teacher mode. I'm new to Formative, so can you show that, please? Just like to follow up on how to keep track of the exit tickets. Oh,
well, what you can do is you can just create a formative like this one. I just created a brand new one. And I just titled the exit ticket quarter 1. And I was just adding question types. I didn't even put any content types, because the contents was happening. That's the activity in your classroom. You just want at the end of the day. So Monday exit ticket, Tuesday, I'm just adding in questions. So when I click the plus button here, I'm clicking short answer, which is probably what you want, right? Because you want students, it's more of like a free response. And then I can do Wednesday exit ticket.
What do you do so the students can only see the exit ticket for Monday?
Oh, I'm sorry. When you go to assign it, you go to teacher paste.
Okay,
And
Thank
then
you.
you, then you click your students, and then you have to monitor it. But I'll tell you this, because I know some of you are wondering, well, how will I keep track of that? So under formatives, I'm going to go under for your district. Notice, so these are all the formatives that I've been doing and I'm going to do with Salinas. So you can see that these are all still open. And I can tell that they're still open. So they're giving you like little hints here and there, whether they're paused or not. I don't want to pause these right now because I have people that still might be in there looking at it. But this is how you would keep track of it. So if you organize your formatives, and I have them by topic, but you can do period 1, period, and you can have folders within folders, right? Because I have clients. These are all the districts I work with. And then within each folder, I have different formatives that are in there. So you can keep track of or organize your stuff that way. And if you work in teams, if you just click on that folder, you could actually share it with a team member, and then everyone will have access to those formatives. So, maybe someone makes formatives for the first unit, someone else makes a formative for the second unit. Yes, it does. Sonia, great question. So your district, I believe, is on the gold plan. So your classes should automatically be imported. I don't know whether it's day 1 of the school year, but that's something you'll want to talk to them about. So I don't have classes, but once you click on it, you should see, period 1, 2, 3, 4 for all of your Google Classrooms. Please don't manually add them yourself if your district is going to import them for you. Okay, and you want to check with your district.
Yeah, I'll check in with tech team.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so we are coming to the end of our time together. Let me go ahead and do 2 things. I'm going to end this session and switch it all to student paced because once again, didn't get through everything in here. So now that's student paced. So as long as you have that tab opened for the formative that I shared with you, you'll be able to go back and forth and look at all the hyperlinks. I'm going to just drop the survey link in the chat box so that I'm looking at the time and I don't want to keep you longer because I know you've all had a busy day today. This is the feedback for Salinas that I would love for you to do.
I wish I would have attended this one yesterday.
Oh.
Because I was like just trying to get caught up and understand some of the things, but I think playing it would be nice. It does have a lot of features that I'm familiar with from other platforms. So if they work similar, that'd be great. But it's nice to see that, like I was at Canva, I did Canva today. You could do things like you would have done with WeVideo, or you could have done, with others. So it's like condensing all of these different platforms into one. So it's really nice, time saving.
Exactly. And you can import Canva stuff into here. Anything that you can get an embed code for, you can bring in to Formative. So you can truly keep everything in here. And the best part is when you click on the hamburger icon, if you go under
hamburger icon, where's that at?
Well, it's in the upper left-hand corner of your formative screen.
The 3 bars.
Yeah, or I call it pancakes. I call them everything.
Pancakes.
But yeah,
and you're making me hungry.
But I mean, when you can bring in like a ton of different formatives and keep it all, all in one spot. But if you can get the embed code, you can embed everything in there, and then you can organize your formatives, by unit, by time, however you want, whatever works for you. But I mean, it is an all-in-one tool. But under reports, if you keep everything informative, all the data will be informative. So you don't have to go to 10 different places and see how students are doing. I know, right?
That is super important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So everyone, we're coming to the end of our time together. Please make sure you fill out the survey for Salinas Unified. I'm actually going to stop the recording here. But if you have any questions, I'm going to stay on. So please feel free to ask them. I'm happy to demo anything that you'd like me to demo or maybe re-demo. And if you didn't attend today's earlier session or yesterday's session, Jen has the recordings, so you can watch and actually watch today's. That's actually better. Yesterday I was flopping around because I had tech issues. So watch today's session instead.